Hey guys, my name is Kris Barocsi. Welcome to Gear Corner. Today, I want to show you a very special modulation pedal. The pedal that could do it all. Almost. Let's figure this one out. This is the brand new Walrus Audio M1
Modulation Machine.
If you enjoy what I'm doing here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and check out the description box for additional infos, timestamps, gear links, etc. and merchandise. Check it out if you want to support me. Thank you. Let's talk about the basics of the M1. Why is it so cool and why is it not just another modulation effect? Well, it's in the category, in the ballpark of like the best of the best, like this Strymon Mobius. So it sounds as good as a pedal can sound, and it gives you tons of different modulation effect types. But it's way more compact, and even though it's far from being an affordable pedal, it's way cheaper than its competition. It's a stereo, MIDI controllable, studio quality multi-effect basically in a very small enclosure that can save presets and can give you some very unique tones as well. I'm looking at you, lo-fi knob. Let's take a look at the programs, which are the effects in the M1. You get 3 effect types per program, which is like having 18 modulation pedals in front of you. Now that can lead to some confusion, but let's talk about it later. First, let's check out the 7 programs of the M1. First is the chorus. You get 3 chorus types. Type 1 is a traditional chorus, the most subtle one out of the 3. And the second one is like a dual chorus tone. And the third one is a tri-chorus, which is like the perfect 80s wet craziness. And the phaser program, you get a 2-stage phaser, again, The most subtle one is type 1. Then a 4-stage phaser is type 2. And the third type is pretty much a univibe. It has that kind of modulation going on, and it just really brings you that kind of vibe. Third program is my favorite modulation effect type. It's the tremolo. The first type of this program is a traditional like blackface Fender kind of tremolo, like a optical or bias tremolo, that kind of stuff. Then type 2 is a harmonic trem, which is super pretty. I use that all the time already. And the third one is really unique. It has like different rhythmic patterns. So it's a rhythmic pulsing tremolo, which is, I've never heard anything like that. It's super unique. Next program is called the Vibe, which is not a vibe, not like a univibe kind of vibe. It's a vibrato. And type 1 is a traditional old school vibrato pedal kind of tone. The second type is really cool. It's like a vinyl. It has this kind of softer something. And the third one is the most radical. It's like an old tape machine where the motor is not really doing its job anymore and it's kind of warbly and modulates your pitch, that kind of thing. It's really, really cool. It has that randomness, and I love that for like moody guitar playing parts. Next program is called Rotary, and it's what you think is the Rotary speaker, like Leslie kind of vibe. Type 1 gives you a normal traditional Rotary speaker tone. Type 2 only spins the horn, and Type 3 only spins the drum of that Rotary speaker cabinet. So it just gives you different types of more obvious or less obvious, more radical or less radical modulation. And it's just, it's a nice selection of all kinds of Leslie tones you could ever think of. And the last program is the most special one, which is like the least obvious effect type. It's called the filter, and you'll have three options. Again, type 1 is a low pass filter, type 2 is a high pass filter, and type 3 is a band pass filter, where you can choose the frequency range, like the band that gets pushed and filtered. All right, let's go a little in depth on the M1. First of all, the tweak and the tune knobs have many features. Like, they can adjust 6 parameters each. For that, you use the minute toggle underneath, and that's a little confusing first. Like, there's a learning curve to it. So let me try to save you some time and explain the basics at least. The tweak knob can adjust 3 things about the selected program, so the selected effect type. First of all, the shape, which is the waveform, then the division, which is the speed of the LFO, the speed of the modulation, really. And the third one is the type. With that, you can choose which of the 3 types of that program you're playing. With the tune knob, you can also adjust 3 things about the program. First is the tone, which adjusts the overall tone of that selected effect, including your guitar signal. Then the second one is called symmetry, which changes the symmetry or asymmetry of the waveform of the LFO. It can get really interesting for some of these programs. And the third one is the X feature, which does different things for each and every program, so each and every effect type. The lower row of adjustments, 3 for the tweak and 3 for the tune knob, are for the lo-fi feature of the M1. If you want to dial in that lo-fi filter or effect on a current selected program, you can do that by turning up the lo-fi knob. So the lo-fi knob is going to be the volume for this lo-fi effect, and if you want to tweak the 6 tweakable things about this lo-fi effect, you will do 3 of those on the tweak knob and 3 of those on the tune knob. This lo-fi feature is really unique, and as usual for Walrus Audio, whenever they're making a pedal, they always put something in there that's not usual, and you will probably not find it on other pedals or other brands' products. And yeah, this lo-fi does a lot actually. You can make it sound proper lo-fi. You can just use that lo-fi to introduce some drive or some reverb to your program, to the modulation effect you've selected. So you can do a lot with it. You can make it just warblier. You can do a lot with it. You can put in like vinyl crackles, like this noise on top of whatever effect you've selected. So it really is unique, and it needs its space in your music, obviously. It's not an always on kind of feature, but it's something that again inspires to use that for certain parts in a song, or just write licks because of being inspired by the effects. All right, my thoughts on the M1. I kind of expected Walrus Audio to put a flanger in the M1 as well, and I think I'm not the only guitar player who would miss that. I mean, if you're a big modulation effect fan and you use them a lot, you will use specific pedals for those special tones you want to get, those special effects. But for me, who only has one free slot on my pedal board for a modulation effect pedal, I have to swap those pedals all the time. All the other effect types are more important for me, so I'll have more space for overdrives, fuzz, delay, reverb, all those stuff. So for modulation, if I want to use a tremolo, I have to put my tremolo on there. If I want to use a phaser, I have to get rid of the tremolo and put the phaser on the board. And I swap modulation pedals pretty much all the time. Now with the M1, I can just stick to the M1 and make a few presets. Save a nice harmonic tremolo, then a phaser, then a Rotary speaker, whatever I want. I can just, you know, tweak it, save it if I want to, and just use it. And don't swap pedals all the time. And on top of that, it's obviously super high quality, like the tone is ridiculous, and it's stereo. And if I went mad and started using a MIDI controlled board, I can even swap the presets via MIDI. My only critique about the M1 is that it's quite hard to understand the pedal at first. It just has so many features and only 6 knobs and just a super small enclosure. So that's kind of the drawback. That's what you have to do. You have to learn to control the pedal. I needed a couple of tries until I knew which knob to turn, where the secondary feature is. You have to push the bypass knob to access the secondary feature of the tweak and the tune knob. So there are things you have to learn about it, and that's the only price you have to pay for having something that's so compact and still so ridiculously clever. Let me know what you think about the M1 and what kind of modulations are your go-to ones. Obviously, we all want to have like everything, but what is the modulation effect type that you always go back to and play most of the time? Let me know in the comments below, and see you next time in a new video. I'll be back. Bye-bye.